Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about the fastest way to get to feudal age with the Mongols. We're going to be hitting a 4:30 timing and then we're going to be immediately queuing Keshiks. So this build doesn't focus on dark age as you usually would see with Mongols. Instead, it focuses on the feudal age, putting out a lot of aggression and then slowly setting up trades. So it's similar to the previous build I made, but it's more optimized towards the aggression part. So if you enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe, and check out the description where I have the build order as well so you can follow along. Enjoy. So when you spawn in, what you're going to be doing is you're going to take all of your spawning units. You're going to put your TC on the wood line, preferably towards either gold, and then the secondary priority would be stone. So if you can get one of those two resources plus the wood, that's pretty good. Then you want to be taking your villagers and then put them on the wood, gather as much wood as you can until the TC is set up. So there's a little bit of a micro part here. You don't have to do this. You can just wait for the sheep to go on the TC. But you can gather a little bit of wood here, which is pretty good if you want to extend your, what will you say, effectiveness. Right, so you got the TC. Immediately you queue villages. And then you want to put your villagers here on the sheep. You build an Ovu, and the Ovu villager is going to go on gold. Put the girl on the gold, and so you have a 5-1 split. Then you're going to be putting one more to food. So the first villager out of the TC to food, and the next one goes on to the gold. And then you go back to food until you can age up. Your scout / your Khan is going to be going out and then grabbing sheep. And then you want to return at some point pretty soon, because we're not going to go on deer necessarily. You can go on deer, but when you don't have a gold spawn and a wood spawn together, so the TC covers both of them, going on deer is not really advisable because you don't have the wood for it, and then you'd have to gather wood and you would delay yourself. Though I would advise going on deer in the feudal age early stages, because deer is just a faster income, and so going for that over sheep leaves your sheep as a safer food source if you are gonna get pushed back. So go for the deer in the feudal age. Unless you have the gold wood spawn for the TC. Khan comes back, drops off the sheep. We're still rallying onto food, and we're going to be continuing doing that until we get to the feudal age. So let's speed up a little bit here. You can see it's going to be pretty much matching up here. So you get 400 food and a little bit over 200 gold, and then you drop your landmark. You can decide to go for the trade landmark if you have a good trade spawn. So if you have a trade post here, I would advise going for the trade landmark, though it telegraphs the strategy and it does make your opponent more aware of the possibility of trade from you. If you go deer stones, then your market is going to be either in the same spawn here or in a bad spawn, though I would prefer going trade post with a good market spawn. You can always add in trade later, so if once you have the map control and have benefited from the speed that the deer stones give you, you can add in a trade route that maybe goes in front of your base like this, where you have to have units to defend it and you can't hide it in the back. So we age up with the trade post here. We're going to age up with 3 villages. We keep the 2 here on gold, and then we start going on wood. So we have 4 in food, and then we go rest to wood until we have 150 wood. Then we build a stable, and then all the wood villages go back to food immediately. So go up to 11 on food, then 4 on gold, and then you'll be able to build Keshiks non-stop plus villages. So you can refer to the transcription of the build order that I've left in the description of the video. For the villager splits, they have been they are sorted in such a manner that you can see the timings and you can see the villager splits for the timings. And so if you think that it's a bit confusing when I'm telling you the villager splits, don't worry too much about it. You can just refer to the tab. So as you can see here, we've almost aged up. We're about 420 in to the game here. The stable is being built. I'm building it with 2 villages. You can build it with 1. You're just gonna maybe delay your stable a little bit. And then on age up here, we should be able to build immediate double production of lancers. Sometimes you're going to verse opponents that are going to go for spearmen, and then it's a good idea to go for archers as a follow-up. So you have Keshiks and archers. Sometimes you play against opponents where they already have a lot of defensive bonuses. So let's say the English, and they're going to go second town centers. They're already playing turtly. That's a good idea to just go for straight trade and then skip the additional archery range on top of the stable. Just go with 5-6 Keshiks, raid, and then try to get him to put the TC in a bad position. After that, You just trade, and then you go and build army so you can defend the trade, castle age, and then you try to win the game there. Here, we're going to be going with double production of Keshik, then into a single Keshik, and then we're going to be making an archery range. So the split right now is going to be 11 on food, 4 on gold, and then we go up to 6 or 7 on wood, depending on how much wood you would need for girs, towers, so on. We're going to speed it up a little bit here. The TC is still rallied to wood. Now we're building the archery range. We have 4 on gold. The 4 on gold is going to be giving us a little bit of a surplus of gold, but we're going to need the surplus of wood and gold for when we start going traders. So the ultimate split for when we are going to be having Keshik production, archery production, villager production, and trader production. So the ultimate split for that is going to be 11 and then 8 on wood, I think, and then 8 on gold. I'll put it up on the screen, the correct split for that, so I can be sure. And then that's going to be your goal. Once you've reached the number, then go back to wood, and then you can add in more production. You can go and maybe just go straight for food, and then you have enough traders, so you can go up for castle age. So now we're raiding with the Keshiks. We're about 6 minutes into the game. Our Keshiks are going around looking for villager kills, so you don't want to lose the Keshiks to TC fire. So go in, and if they start going back, then that's idle time, and that's good for you. In base, we are now double producing archers. So instead of double producing the Keshiks twice, we just do it once, and then we do double production of archers 2 or 3 times. The trade post is not going to be producing traders immediately. As I talked about before, the villager split for both the traders, villagers, Keshiks, and archers comes in a bit later. And right now we just want to constantly produce from these 2 buildings, because if we do that, then we will be able to match somebody who's going to go aggressive, and then the trade is going to be built along the way. So we're going to exploit the fact that we are the ones that are dictating the game, and then we can exploit the fruits of that aggressiveness that we're putting out. TC is now rallying to wood. Then we're going to go with, I think it's going to be 11 on wood and then 8 on gold. I can't quite remember now. I think that's got to be it. Now I'm going to go over to deer, about 8 minutes into the game. Don't refer to the timings of when I go to the deer, but you can. Just go to the deer when you feel like it's safe, and you have the map control. So as you can see here, this is of course a bot game, so it's not representative of what a normal game would look like. But as a benchmark, if you haven't lost any units, at around 9 minutes you're going to be having 22 units out on the field. 8 of them is going to be Keshiks, and 13 to 14 of them are going to be archers. At this point you can add in a blacksmith, or you can start trading. I choose to start trading, and then I'm going to add in the blacksmith later. Here, you can also start to think about going for eco upgrades, such as wheelbarrow, get survival techniques when you start going on deer, as that it does increase the meat gather rate by 15%, which is really good. The villagers themselves carry a lot of the deer as well, so if you have wheelbarrow and you have a little bit of walking time here, and you also have a woodline where there's some walking time, wheelbarrow is going to be paying off really quickly, because wheelbarrow solves that problem by decreasing the total idle time from walking. So that's the point. When you start having a lot of villagers on wood, get wheelbarrow. For reference, we have 30 military units now, 10 minutes into the game. We're starting to trade. We've got the deer. We've got about 8 on gold, and we've got 14 on food, and then the rest are on wood. And so we can now constantly produce traders. We can constantly produce from our 2 main production buildings. At this point, once you start adding in more and more wood, you should be building more girs, and you should be building more production, so you can keep up the aggressive nature of this strategy here. So if you are constantly producing units, and you're not losing them unnecessarily, and your opponent is trying to constantly produce units, but they are taking bad fights, you're going to be always ahead if you go for this strat. If they're trying to go for something like Castle Age, so let's say our opponent had a safe gold with a second TC on it, and you couldn't really push him, then you can choose to go for a ram push, or you can go Castle Age yourself, and then you can start taking relics, and you can start upgrading your units, get the +2 ranged attack, which makes the archers incredibly strong with the veterancy upgrade, and then from there, you can then start to hammer the opponent down, even if they have army units. So we're going to be focusing on our eco for a little bit more. We're going to add in a blacksmith. we're gonna, with the traders, silver tree, we're gonna be making traders, and then go out onto more pocket resources here. So don't be scared of that. If you have map control, well, that allows you to go for the map's resources. So that would be boars, deers, berries as the last priority. If you're playing on something like marshlands, go for the shoreline fish if you have the map control, and then yeah, then you can go to Castle Age. So around 16 minutes here, we are in Castle Age with about 30 archers and 20 keshiks. And the first thing you do is you queue up the veteran upgrade, and then you get +2 ranged attack. So the +2 ranged attack is going to make it so that the archers themselves deal 8 damage together with the veterancy upgrade. And that's going to be really helpful because that makes it so that if you're playing against man-at-arms with 4 ranged armor, you still deal 4 damage. If you don't have any ranged or attack upgrades, your damage is halved, so you only deal 2 damage with the veterancy upgrade, and 1 if you don't have any veterancy upgrades. Use the Kurultai, and once you get the Kurultai from the Ovu, you should get the superior mobility. I've already researched it here, but get superior mobility when you go for the Kurultai. We go for the Kurultai if we have trade. We go for step redoubt if we haven't managed to secure our trade, or we didn't go trade at all. Maybe we went 2TC into trade. Sorry, 2TC into Castle Age, and then we go step redoubt. But Kurultai if you have trade. Use the Kurultai, it adds a 20% damage bonus here. And then use that when you attack, so place it together with your army. So when you move forward, you have the superior mobility, drop it where you're going to fight, pull back, and it's going to be pretty fast, so you can just pull it back and forth. Not a lot of micro is required for that. And then if you're going in castle and you can't quite finish your opponent off, start going for the monastery. So what you can do with the, not the monastery, the prayer tent, is you can make a double production of the shamans. So place the monastery, prayer tent on the oval, and then use the shaman double production. It's 150 stone, and then you're going to get 2 shamans. What you're going to do is then you're going to take the relics, and then with the superior mobility, just as with the Kurultai, you have the prayer tent that can move faster, and so you can actually put relics inside the prayer tent, move the prayer tent, and the relics do not get dropped. And so this thing here can carry your relics whilst moving. So as you'll see here, I have now made 2 shamans. I'm gonna drop the prayer tent like this, keep on moving around, and as the shamans move out for more relics, I don't have to have them go all the way back. I can just take the prayer tent with me, and then if I have map control, I can safely and quickly collect all the relics. Now we're about 20 minutes into the game. This is about the point where you should finish the game. About 22 minutes is the goal. You're gonna have about 30 traders if you were not harassed. You're gonna have a huge army if you didn't lose army. Of course, this is just a bot game, so games go different every single time. This is just benchmarks. So get all the upgrades, get the villagers constantly producing, move the girls with the wood lines so you don't have too much idle time, go for the map resources, go for the relics, and then ultimately kill your opponent with a better army and a timing attacking castle. That's the Mongol guide for you. Have any questions? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll leave a transcription, of course, in the description. And you can check me out on my Twitch channel as well, where I use this build. So if you have questions about the build, how does it work in this matchup, maybe you can catch it in there. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. See you in the next one.